the day has finally come, Chad.
Ready.
Sampling time for this brew. So if you stuck with us the first two videos, we're finally at sampling day. So we're gonna do a little videoing of the transfer, the quick carb. Tom's gonna walk us through that, and then we're gonna taste this.
He gets a little bit, I get a lot.
All right, let's get to it.
All right, so here we are with Nimrod Lazy Hazy IPA. Fermentation's done. I've checked the final gravity, and it actually came out a little lower than what it was estimated was. So that's good. That means it's more alcohol in it. So I've chilled it for a day and a half. So now all you gotta do is pressurize both the keg and the Firmzilla to be able to transfer it into here without putting any air on it. And then when we're done with that, we'll set up the quick carb. So I'm going to put some pressure into both these. Hopefully this will go a little bit smoother. This is only it'll be my fourth time doing it, so it's a little tricky.
What's the container on the bottom of that for?
This is where you actually can drop the yeast or the hops out of it. I guess that would have been good to say. Thanks, that's a great question. So during when the yeast is done, you can actually, instead of having to transfer it off of the yeast, you can actually just open this valve up and you can drop the yeast in this container, close it back, screw the container off and dump it. Or reuse the yeast. Now I'm not to the point where I reuse yeast yet. It's a whole nother gig. I'm just trying to get this process down. So I've actually dumped that twice because there was 4 ounces of dry hop in this. So I dropped the yeast off of it and then I dropped it again to get the rest of the hops out, which you can still see there's still a little bit of residue on the bottom. You're not going to get it all, but it just gets it off so that you don't suck it into your keg.
And what was the gravity when you tested this?
The final gravity on this one was 1.01. So it ended up, it was supposed to be 0.016, so it actually worked down a little further than it was supposed to. So it should be, according to the calculations, 5.5% alcohol. Okay, so now hopefully these are both pressurized, so when I put these on and let a little air out of this keg, hopefully it'll pull the siphon. That's what we're after. There it goes.
It's really light colored, so.
Yeah, so it's hard to see in the line. You can see it in the inside line though. That went a lot smoother that time. It's almost like I knew what I was doing. Yeah, there you go. So what was your question, Chad?
It was a statement more
Yeah,
than anything.
okay.
Warm and uncarbonated, it would almost be just like, I don't know, juice for breakfast then.
Right, right, because it did have kind of an orange flavor to it, yeah. So, I've actually done this brew one other time for the 4th of July a couple of years ago. So, I've altered it a little bit because it had actually had dry hop additions in the kettle, where I didn't do any of that this time. I didn't have dry hops in the kettle. I had kettle additions of the hops. This one I actually put all the hops dry hopped into the fermenter.
And adding the dry hops is what gives it a little bit of the
Right.
IPA hoppy flavor.
Absolutely. If you add the hops in the kettle, that's where you get your bitterness. You'll get more flavor and aroma out of your dry hop editions.
Very good.
Not as much bitterness. So,
Well, I am a fan of the IPA, so I am very anxious to try this.
absolutely. Well, we're still about an hour. All right, so now we got the beer into the keg. We're gonna use the Blickman Quick Carb to carbonate the beer. So what I need to do is I need to set my level of carbonation. So I need to set this gauge here to 18 pounds. We're gonna go 20 just because I feel like it. 20 pounds. So then what I need to do now is I'm gonna have to turn the pump on. Actually, this isn't stuck on there yet because I don't want it pumping through yet because this is pressurized with CO2. So then what I want to do is I want to run just a little bit of it out to clear all the lines into that, which I've already CO2'd all the lines so there's no air in it. So what we'll do here is put my wrench down so I can use my hand properly. Put that on, turn the pump on, pump out a little bit of beer, get the line full. Make a mess if I possibly can. There's probably a better way. It's only my third time, so I have to watch the YouTube video on that again. So now, pop this onto here. And what this is going to do, it's going to circulate it out of here. CO2 carbonate it here, which I'm getting. So it's going to pump it out of the keg here, pump CO2 into it here, pump it back into the keg.
And how long is that process supposed to take?
It will take 1 hour to have a fully carbonated beer.
And then it'll be
Ready to drink. And we can't wait. So like that, I went back over here and actually checked the gauge, and once I turned it down, it went down to 18. So now it's a waiting game again. 1 hour, beer time.
all right. That quick carb is done,
Absolutely.
and here we are with the first sample.
Nimrod Hazy IPA.
Oh man! Cheers,
Cheers.
boys. Wow.
Nice.
I say this every time, but it might be my best.
It's really good.
That's awesome.
Really
It does
good.
have a good citrus flavor to it.
Yep.
Now, obviously, I think tomorrow, after it completely chills back down, it's probably going to be a touch better.
Oh, touch better.
Touch better.
There's a touch better tomorrow.
That's a brunch beer right there, man.
There you go.
That's